Okay, testing, testing. Great. We're recording class. We see the screen. For students who are viewing this in the future, please remember these events are happening. Okay. Moving forward. Also for Unit 2, just to get you thinking and just to get you moving forward to think about what is happening after we're done with the shoot that we're currently doing. Unit 2, Exercise 2, focuses on the art of editing and matching images and cuts to music. It's a solo assignment. So as soon as you're done with this group assignment, you're doing a solo assignment. Both of your midterms are solo assignments because it's hard to coordinate, as you've noticed, especially a lot of people. So using your own quotidian life, that means your daily life as your material, you're going to make a short video in the 3 to 4 minute length, synced to a song. Any song is fine. When you're using music in the future, you have to clear the rights for it, which is a pain in the ass, but this is just an assignment for class. So use any song you want. It can be whatever. And you're going to basically create a slice of life from your point of view, from your POV. It can be an edited down day in the life, or it can focus in on a particular part of your day. You can also take this poetically and do it in a way that I can't even imagine right now. You can edit on iMovie, CapCut, Canva, Clipchamp, or a more complicated program. We'll talk more about editing in class. You don't need to be clever with effects or transitions, though you're welcome to experiment. This is an exercise. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's graded on completion. If you complete these stipulations and turn it in on time, oh, all of the stipulations are on Canva. I didn't put them on here. You'll receive full credit, A or A minus. If it's late or only partially complete, you'll receive a B or B minus. Does anyone have any questions about this exercise number 2? I want to show it now because I kind of want to show some of the difference between exercise 1 and 2. Exercise 1 is about directing actors and directing the camera. We're thinking about how the actors move on the chessboard of the space that you have chosen as a location and how the camera moves in order to give like an ambiance, right? In order to give like emotion and interest. So the second exercise is really about editing, and it's specifically about editing to music. A lot of editors edit to music, even when they're not editing to music. We think a lot about editing as a musical act. The most boring kind of edit is like 2 seconds cut, 2 seconds cut, 2 seconds cut. That's like you want to think about shorter, longer, extended, fast, 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 long. There's a kind of rhythm and a irregularity to good editing that I want you to explore with here. With just the 4 of you in here, I want to take an anonymous poll. So please close your eyes or cover your hands in some way. This is information that is for me and not for your colleagues, just because I think sometimes that is easier. There are 3 levels here of editing. One is I feel very confident I have a program that I know and I don't really need any professional assistance on getting this assignment done. Number 2 is I would like some assistance, but I have done some editing before. And 1 is I do not currently have an editing program and I need a lot of guidance on this. So just put up in there, three means you're confident at editing and feel like you could do this assignment tomorrow. 2 means you need some assistance on the technical details of a program, but you have done it in the past. And 1 is I do not have an editing program. I need a lot of assistance. Can you go ahead and raise your, okay. Cool. Okay, students who are viewing this at home, you should see the options for the poll here on the screen, and please do go ahead and email me your answer to the poll. It can just be that number 3, 2, or 1. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. Did we get a chance to watch this film? Awesome. It is great for 1913, I think is a good way that you would say it. It's a really great and unique film for 1913. I want to point out a couple of things that that Lois Weber does here. So first of all, it's obviously a silent film. This was a version that had new and improved music because a lot of times silent films would show and there would be a live piano player basically like riffing and improvising in here. So this was sound synced with a soundtrack. One of the most notable things that she did here was this split screen effect. So she did this sort of 3-part split screen. You may remember this happened, I think, a couple times in the movie. What is the point of this? What does this do? This is basic, so yeah, go ahead, Paul.
It shows us what all 3 characters are doing and thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think part of the argument is that it builds tension, right? It gives you the sense that multiple things are happening at once, and that, we're going to be following the sort of disparate action of these 3 people as they're going forward. This is obviously something that is done in the editing. You know, editing used to happen on actual celluloid. I often describe film as film got invented once we had invented separate things like plastic and the mechanics, the sort of like gear-like mechanics of the film camera. You had to have like separate kinds of invention. Like film before plastic, there wasn't really the kind of opportunity for celluloid. So used to literally cut and tape it together, like taping together plastic sheets. So that's how she did this. There's another interesting shot very early on in the film where you have a POV shot. This is when well, I should ask you, when does this happen in the film?
Okay.
Whose POV is it?
The mothers.
Yeah, so we're looking at the mother.
I
So
thought it was
it's
like
yeah,
it was
nanny. You were gonna say nanny.
Sorry.
Maid. I think she was the maid. It's funny because she's not even that actress is not even credited in the credits. They give the credits and they don't even mention the maid. But there's this like character comes on and quits. And I think part of the added tension of this is she used to have help in the house, but now she's alone. And of course, plot wise, what does the maid do that makes the plot fall into motion?
Leaves the key, I think.
Yeah, leaves the key under the mat. Yeah. So this is the POV of the maid who looks through the keyhole. She could have gone in and said I'm quitting, but she just leaves the note. And then leaves the key. If she'd gone in and said I'm quitting, she would have said, "Give me the key." But instead, she does this keyhole moment, adds tension. You know, they do this by literally cutting that out, putting it in front of the camera is a trick they used to do. You could also do it in post at the time. But the fact that we shift from a sort of omniscient narrator to being in one of the characters' head for a minute is actually pretty advanced for early filmmaking. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of early filmmaking was as if you were shooting a play and you're the audience looking at it. So the fact that we went for a second into the POV of this very minor character who we never see again to look through the keyhole was actually kind of innovative and one of the earliest examples of that kind of thing happening. Yeah, so just something you can think about. How do you go in and out of POV in your films? When do you want to have like do you want to do that in your adaptations of the play? Do you ever want to shift into us actually feeling like we're in the point of view looking outwards of one of your characters? Again, I'm advocating for really long shots and working on camera movement, but you could totally do an insert shot that comes from the point of view of one of the characters. How might that change? Like when they're looking at each other's test results on a piece of paper, you could do an over the shoulder shot where you're actually doing it from the POV of one of them looking at it. It might be an interesting way to show that moment. There's also this. These are two different bird's eye views here. What are the two bird's eye views here on the left and then the right? Oh, I said it. Maid leaving and then tramp arriving, right? So these are two different shots framed exactly the same way. Did you notice that in the first viewing? It gives a kind of rhythm to the film. Thinking of how you can frame shots similarly over the course of a short film gives them a sort of internal coherence that the viewer won't even necessarily remember, but makes your style more evident. You know, she could have shot one from over the head and then come down and shot his from, worm's eye view looking up at him, picking up the mat and putting it under. But she had this sort of repetition and rhythm of two shots in a row, which not in a row, spread out, but from the same angle, which gives them a certain sort of sensibility. So it's pretty early in film to be doing what we essentially consider today to be a crane shot. Are people familiar with the idea of a crane shot? It's hard. These are hard shots to get, right? Crane shots, cranes are huge, expensive, tricky pieces of equipment. Getting a camera to move beautifully from high to sort of follow action from bird's eye is no small feat. I don't know what she used for a crane. Was she just up on a ladder? Very possibly. Had they built like a platform off the side of that? I mean, I don't quite know why this roof is like, there's no roof on that roof. I don't know. Like, did they build this specifically to do this shot? I don't know. But it was kind of an early innovative angle for something that has now become obviously like super complex and in depth. And then this one, did you notice this cool shot? That's almost like it's the mirror, it's shot in the mirror showing the person who stole the car and the cop sort of tussling. So it's a frame within a frame. it's giving us something really unique to look at. It almost was like an insert of a different shot inside the larger shot, that kind of shot within shot. Shooting in mirrors is really hard because you have the camera there. And so I don't know exactly, like, I'm not sure. We might actually be seeing this might be the tripod of the camera. I can't tell, or that might be part of the car, but it's hard to shoot in a mirror and figure out how to edit out the camera that is picking up the shot. Sometimes you can do it with angles. She could have been she could have had the camera on a slightly different angle behind them, yeah, so that you can't quite see it. But and then in terms of how this movie Suspense builds suspense, that moment of the stolen car, it's essentially a B plot, right? The A plot is Tramp is coming to harm the lady, and B plot is husband goes to try to save wife, but in the while he's trying to start his car, some dude steals it. Kind of funny, and but that gives them the excuse to have what dramatically, what do they get to have? A chase scene, a classic of cinema, right? A chase scene is exciting. I have heard people say every movie is a mystery and every movie is a chase. So no matter, even if it's not a whodunit, you're trying to figure out what happened in the end. And even if there's not one person chasing another or one car chasing another, you have protagonists trying to get something. So if you can think of even your own projects, how is your project a mystery? Your guys' is a mystery because you think they're going to maybe hook up for a while, and the mystery and the sort of like sweetness is that that's not it at all. They just miss human intimacy, right? Obviously the Hello, the ghost story one has a little bit of a mystery to it. But there's a way, yeah. Think about how, you know, yeah, the logistics of your guys' sci-fi world is sort of a mystery that we're sort of figuring out over the course of it. How is your particular film always a chase? How is it always a mystery? Yeah, in this film, what stops the bad guy?
Is it the husband or is it the gunshots outside?
Good call, Hall. Good. Yes, it is. It is in fact the gunshots outside. He's sneaking in with a knife. It's a knife fight versus a gunfight. This is also very American and very Hollywood, right? He's sneaking into her room with the gun. He's like right there with her. With the knife. He hears the gun outside and he turns around and leaves. First of all, the gun was way out there. If he'd wanted to kill her or steal the baby or do something, he probably would have had a minute, but he knows he's busted, right? Hearing the gunshots means that he knows that he's busted. So we're going to take a 2-minute segue into cinematic guns and cinematic safety, and then we'll be done with today, and I'll send you into your groups to do more work on pre-production. But just real quick, how do I move this? I'm not going to make you read all this, but there's a lot of studies about guns in American cinema. This is some quantitative analysis from University of Pennsylvania, I think, Center for the Study of Guns in Society. We don't need to look at all of this data, but the short version is that there have been more and more guns in cinema forever, but they have been there since the beginning. We also think about technology, like the technology necessary to develop guns and the technology necessary to develop like cinematic cameras have a lot of things in common. Also, there is a significant relationship between the budgets and revenues and guns. So action movies generally have the most guns, and action movies generally have the highest budget and the highest revenue. I think we see that here on this next page. So yeah, significant correlations that we can observe. The genres depicted are the types of movies that would be correlated with having more guns as opposed to musicals or comedies. But yeah, this one I think is interesting. The films that have guns consistently have on average a greater budget and a greater revenue than films that do not have guns. There may be like a sort of relationship between budget and revenue together so that those aren't necessarily two different points. And the guns is a secondary causation. They also say that it's not actually a matter of how many guns. The presence of even one gun is usually enough to affect the higher budget and higher revenue. The data is still out on the relationship between guns on screen and guns in society. Many people from both sides of the aisle have said the more violence that we have in our media, the more violent our society. Many other people have said that the relationship is in fact the opposite, that we represent more violence in our media because society is getting more violent. I am not here to make a grand claim on either of that. I think that the data is essentially still out. But I do want to put in here that in a lot of my early classes, both in screenwriting and in directing, I think sometimes people will put in weapons as a shortcut for drama, and that it's sometimes exciting and innovative to try to figure out how to put in that drama without necessarily putting in the weapons. Also, if you are shooting things on campus, campus safety has said we are not allowed to use guns. Isn't it weird that we say shooting? Because it's like a film, right? Like I think this every time I write you guys, I'm like, okay, the shoot date's going to be Thursday. We're going to rehearse Tuesday and shoot Thursday. Tell your actors we're shooting. Tell your actors to be ready for the shoot on Thursday. Like there's not an alternative. I guess we could say filming, but it's video now too. So filming is even kind of a misnomer. But lights, camera, action. Let's get ready and shoot this. That's how we. That's where we are. A couple quick things about safety. This is particularly important. Anyone know about this lady in this story? This is, yeah, Hanya Hutchins. This is this cinematographer who was shot on the set of Rust by Alec Baldwin, who certainly did not mean to do it. It sounds like there was a real failure in the stunt coordination on this project. You are never supposed to have live rounds in a gun for a
I think it
film.
wasn't live rounds. I think it was a buildup of blanks, like
that it?
residue from blanks that was left over inside that was launched out after a blank was fired.
I
Yeah.
read the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a lot of criticisms of the stunt coordinator there because they are supposed to sort of do a lot of tests in advance that I guess like advanced testing probably should have.
Props.
Yeah. So it was a real tragedy. This kind of thing happened a lot more. Obviously, in early cinema, people died a lot, not a lot, but like tragedies like this happened a lot in early cinema. This had not happened in my memory when this happened a few years ago. It was really shocking. So it's just a good reminder that everything that we are representing on screen has stakes, and we just have to be super, super careful. Some of the things that are involved in making sure that we are safe are Six, Carolina, who's here the other day, is a professional stunt coordinator. It's a very highly sort of rigorous industry where you do a lot of training, a lot of testing. You get a certificate, you get certifications for it, and your certification has to be like regularly like re-upped. So he is constantly going to both train other people and get new training in hand-to-hand combat, stuff with weapons, including stuff with guns, and then a lot of stuff with cars. Stunt coordinators handle everything with cars. Anytime you have any stunts for a film, you have a set medic. Set medic is a whole profession in LA where you are specifically on set for on set related injuries that happen. Um, and then the other and like newer field, I think I've talked about a little bit before, is intimacy coordination, who works with actors and film production teams to ensure that intimacy scenes with sexuality and even nudity without sexuality are carried out safely, respectfully, and consensually. There are 3 very short videos on Canvas about these 3 fields: stunt coordination, set medics, and intimacy coordination. They're all like 2 or 3 minute videos on Canvas. Watch them for Thursday. This is something I think that directors should think about sooner rather than later. It's not an afterword, it's sort of a whole, because you're taking on the responsibility of literally everybody's safety. They are in your hands in a certain way.